Okay. After all this, battling,
here.
struggling, getting pimped out to film other stuff. Yes, Tim Minchin, my best friend, lover, some might say. Now you were talking about something I actually wanted to hit on, which is how you're presented. Now see, I'm a skeptic. I mean, I happen to be an atheist, but if I identify myself, I'm a skeptic, because the way my whole thing with the atheist movement is like, we catch a serial killer and take away his guns. Like, we got his gun. Let's go home, everybody.
Yeah.
See you later.
I think I have a natural compulsion to not like, whenever I describe, not like a single label, because it seems our compulsion to simplify so that we can identify with a particular worldview is kind of the problem. But that sounds bad, because I love that the movement over here is trying to use the word skeptic. I think it's a really good and interesting word, because it's an accurate word to describe a worldview. If I try to describe myself, I'll say, I'm a humanist, secularist, evidence-based critical thinker, and that's what skeptic is, and so it's good. It's just a childish aversion to the term. But the idea that you can be a skeptic without being an atheist, I think, is absolute fucking nonsense.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if you apply doubt to anything, what sort of application of doubt have you got if you can't go, oh yeah, by the way, the whole religion thing's obviously a fantasy that belongs somewhere a long, long way in the past. I mean, it's an absurd thing to propose that you're a critical thinker and that you don't believe in UFOs because many small pieces of evidence don't, blah blah blah, and then to say, oh yeah, but I'm, the God thing, it's non-overlapping magisteria. Fuck off, don't be a pussy.
Okay.
I think
even though it's not a testable claim, I think that's kind of the reason always the separation.
Absurd. It's not, but with a skeptic, you have to be similarly agnostic about the existence of a sky turtle or a chi. I mean, chi is not really testable. You can say, what do you mean by chi? And they can say, oh, it's the energy flow out of the body. And you can go, well, you can test that. You can say, what do you mean by God? Oh, well, that if you pray, you get... God requires a definition. Once you have a definition, you can test its claims. If you don't have a definition, then you should be an atheist, because it's not even a conversation. Of course it's testable.
Now, on this whole filming thing, now I've seen your documentary like 2 or 3 times,
really?
and by the way, it's a huge source of inspiration for me and my lady here, by the way, because I always watch that, and you guys were struggling, and then you had so many successes, and
most people who struggle stay struggling, don't you?
Yeah, I know that.
Dokgo be the one. No, I know, that's a lovely thing to say.
And my lady's right now making the bigger check than me, so I just see that, it's so much inspiration. But my question is, why the hell did they start filming you? And other than these guys, where's my camera crew? Who's going to mark my rise to fame and success?
It's a complete. I guess the amazing thing about that Dokgo is, it's a rare sort of feat, because who goes around filming people in case they start doing well? And Rael, who made that film, had recently made an amazing film about altruism. Interestingly enough, in the wake, to use a poignant pun, of the 2005 tsunami, 2004 Indonesian tsunami. Kind of was right on the brink of the year, but and she'd been doing all these projects under other people's producerial kind of banner, and she wanted to do she tells human stories, and that's what she's interested in. And we were living around the corner from each other, we're best friends, and I've known her for years, and she loved my little comedy shows, and she thought that probably this year was going to be quite interesting because I was doing my first comedy festival, and she thought I should start filming you just because it'll be interesting. And I guess we expected it would be a sort of interesting half-hour doco at 11 o'clock at night on the ABC, tracking a struggling artist. It's an interesting story in and of itself. As it turns out, that year everything changed, and it actually got released in cinemas in Australia as a feature film, about what turned out to be this sort of parallel journey of me having a baby and me giving birth to a career. It's quite interesting. I find it impossible to watch. I mean, it's just like, get him
I
off.
love it.
But that's lovely that you like it.
No, I do. And
watching yourself. Sort of.
Another question about that, though, since you have risen to such fame, success, call it what you will. Do you ever think about trying out your old hairdo, your old look? You know, like they love me, they'll still love me
I know.
with curly hair.
I know that you know, talk about correlation and causation. The moment I straighten my hair correlates pretty much exactly with the beginning of my getting of a career, and so I don't know if it's causal, but I'm sure as hell not going to test it. And you know, it's an interesting thing, kind of finding yourself. Like, at the age of 30, it's a good time to kind of, you know, I kind of landed in myself a bit. You know, I've always been perfectly happy. I would have been happy if none of that happened. You know, I'm a happy guy and stuff. But I kind of found this way of being that allowed me to entertain people, and part of that was finding a look and all that. And I wouldn't change it now because it's works for now. But you know, I'm interested in acting and stuff, and there was talk recently of a role that would require me to cut my hair, and I'd do it if, you know, grow it back.
Are you able to speak about that or anything upcoming?
Oh no, I mean it won't happen.
I heard HBO talk for a minute there.
Yeah, no, but that's just press. You know, me saying to a journalist 4 years ago, I just had a meeting with HBO, and they're going, you know. But I've actually come to a point where I'm not really pursuing TV shows and stuff. If that comes about, that would be fine. But I've managed to get to a point where I can play really big numbers of people live without television, and that's actually quite rare. Most comedians, especially in the UK, are doing the big rooms on telly every week, and people go, "Oh, that's that guy from the telly." Oh, we'll go. Whereas my show's just word of mouth, and it's really valuable to be known for what you actually do.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely rare to make money in music, let alone make money at music with people coming to see you.
I don't make albums, I just do shows. And on the other side, I write, I've written a musical that's going to the West End, and I'm very interested in, so in terms of Hollywood, I'm much more interested in this writing songs for films and writing musicals and stuff, so that's my kind of other. Speaking
of that, just a couple more questions, but on your craft, have you ever thought about creating a more, I guess, serious, lyrically figurative and less literal album?
Yeah, well, it's a huge problem of mine, is that I have this compulsion to be very thorough and leave no gaps in my ideas if I can. But yeah, I have every intention, and have done for years, and have been constantly unable to make the time, of going into the studio and making a record. And yeah, it wouldn't be, my lyrics have always been and will always be kind of quirky, I hope. But yeah, I'd really like to test myself and try and make songs that are less didactic. And I definitely will. I mean, you know, I'm a songwriter.
Because you make beautiful music. I'm just always like, you know, what's the difference between this and, like, you know.
Yeah, I guess Not Perfect's probably the closest thing I've got to a song that I perform now that doesn't go, this is what I'm talking about, you know. White Wine in the Sun's more literal, but it's still a song that people can listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just a songwriter at the moment. I'm concentrating on comedy. Last year I was writing a children's musical, and next year I might do an album. I don't see a distinction really. I just happen to be writing satire at the moment, and I love performing comedy. It's the best feeling in the world. So.
Another question: are you going to be at TAM 9?
TAM 9 from Outer Space. No, because I'm performing in 3 different cities on the first 3 days of it.
Jeez.
I'm doing Atlanta, St. Louis and Minneapolis on the 14th, 15th, 16th, and I think on the Sunday night. I seriously considered, and I guess I'm still considering popping into the last evening, but it seems pretty extravagant and environmentally unfriendly.
Oh, really?
To fly from Minneapolis to Vegas for a beer with Steve Novella. Well, that's all I want to do, but he doesn't drink, so it'll be hopeless.
Okay, last couple questions. What is your least favorite woo, bullshit, whatever, flim-flam thing? What's the Achilles heel of Tim Minchin?
Well, I kind of get frustrated by different things at different times. And really it's not a particular thing, but rather a kind of a special pleading of people who say vague things and think that there's no harm. It's just, you know, I'm a Buddhist, you know, I believe kids will have another life. And you
Energy.
Go, so what you're saying is it's all right if, you know, like I had this argument with someone I love very much actually that really, really upset me, where she's doing Reiki healing, And I said, well, you should have evidence for stuff. And she's like, you know, it makes people feel good. And I agree, Reiki healing doesn't do much harm, but I was trying to say, but the harm in not having evidence for healing claims goes to, well, you know, if you follow that slope down, you hit Matthias Rath, who convinced the South African government that, you know, vitamin C was a better alternative. His vitamins were a better alternative than retroviral drugs to cure, to help AIDS victims stay alive, or HIV victims, and you know, and thousands of kids died. And I said to her, do you understand that? Just can we agree on that principle, that at some point it's important that we question medical claims? Because, and she was like, well, I'm a Buddhist, so I think those kids will probably have a better life next life. And I went, all right, that's disgusting. That disgusts me. That you think we don't have to defend the rights of HIV kids because you're a fucking Buddhist. Defend that claim. Like, and so it's that. It's like, I get angry when people think that it's okay to be vague. Ethics is really difficult, you know, and you should be thorough. You know, if you're one of the lucky people who've got educated and you can read and stuff, and you're interested in living an ethical life, you can't go, well, I have biodegradable bags. I'm sorry, it turns out that biodegradable bags let off methane. Oh, fuck, it's complicated, right? You've got to keep looking and keep working on your ethical position. I mean, it doesn't fucking matter anyway, but if you're going to do it, do it. And I hate that I hate that special plea. Oh, you know, what's the harm? It's that irritates me. And that's what us skeptics need to be remembering, that we're meant to be finding out what the harm is. Not just saying, we're right about shit, which is incredibly tempting and very seductive. But I try to keep myself, because it's very tempting to go, you fucking idiots! You know, but I try to keep myself on task, which is to say, you don't get to say you hate gays because Jesus said, because that's fucking bullshit.
Last question. What is your favorite bullshit? Favorite woo? Like, if it could be true, you would want it to be true.
Oh, any magic health claim, you know, like it would be great if Reiki was true. You know, that's a beautiful idea. I do it to my daughter because I know it works. I understand that placebo works. And, you know, Band-Aids make kids think they're feeling better. And I say, she goes, Daddy, I fell over and I need magic hands. And I do magic hands and it makes her feel better. It's a beautiful thing. And it begs the question, it doesn't beg the question, but it asks the question, where the place for placebo is, and it complicates it. It's another long conversation. But yeah, I like the idea that energy could work, but not so much that I pretend to myself that it does.
A couple times to the camera, can you give a be skeptical? Say it however you like.
Be skeptical. Really? Do I have to say that?
You don't have to.
I'm Tim Minchin, and I think you should be skeptical.
Could you give us a badass gangster one?
No.
No? No gangster?
This is my.
Could you turn your hand sideways?
I can go, no.
No? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I guess you could say I take comedy pretty seriously.